Okay, so now we are live. So let's start. 1 minute. Okay. So I tried making things up, so now it is working. Uh, Richard, can you hear? Richard, I can't hear you. That's okay, that's okay. As long as you can hear me, it's fine. All are able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Naveen, you are able to hear? Okay, fine. So, again, yesterday, what we looked at is who is getting Nibbana. It is the consciousness which is getting Nibbana. Okay, so if you still have doubt, you can go back to that. But it's a consciousness which is getting Nibbana. The Parinibana also is consciousness. So I have sent two suttas. One is that Gomataka Sutta and 1 minute. Yeah. Gotika Sutta, that is one sutta what I have sent. I have sent another one of the same kind. So what you need to do is you need to hope you have gone through it. If you have not gone through it, we can go through it. Have you gone through it? What I had said it? Gone through? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. Okay. Preeti? No. Okay, fine. If you have not gone through it, maybe we can go through it. That's a better way of handling, and we can come to the actual topic later. So this sutta talks about what is happening with a bhikkhu called as Godika. He is a person who is able to establish the jhana. He is able to understand the five aggregates, that is Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. He is able to understand that. But then he keeps on falling. He keeps on not able to establish the Cheto Vimukti. The Cheto Vimukti, as we understand in the Mahavidyala Sutta, there are 4 ways of doing Cheto Vimukti. And in this, it doesn't say which one he was working on to get the Cheto Vimukti. So let's go that he is experiencing the Cheto Vimukti. But then, since he is always failing, always not able to do, 6 times he does it, so he thinks that why don't I slit my wrist, cut off the life, and then it is better I do that. So now Mara comes into the scene. And like I said yesterday, that from this word Mara is Marana. One who snatches the life is Mara. Now this Marana means one, the Chitta goes through various stages, in that there is Chuti. Chuti means to cut. So it is a stream which is running, and through a force it gets cut. And the Chuti, when it happens, the balance of the Chuti or the Chitta re-establishes elsewhere, and that is called as rebirth consciousness. In English, everything is either mind or consciousness. There is nothing, no other intermediate meaning can be brought about. So basically, what we are trying to understand is how chuti happens. So it can happen by its own, or it can happen by somebody destroying, or what we call as suicide. So the Mara comes and explains the same to the Buddha, saying that your disciple who is diligently working out, he is taking his own life. Don't you think so that you need to stop him? And then Buddha answers to him that the wise don't worry about their life. Having plucked out the craving from the root, Godika, the bhikkhu, is extinguished. And the Buddha and the Mara doesn't believe that anything like that can happen. So Buddha, along with his disciples, go to that place called as Isigili, where there is a black rock. And there he sees a cot where Godika is dead. And his 5 aggregates are totally gone. Okay. Now, Buddha says a black smoke moving towards east and west and north, south, above, below, and also in between. What Mara is doing is that he is searching for Godika's Vijnana. Okay. Now, he couldn't find it. Since he couldn't find it, he comes back to Buddha, saying that I searched everywhere, but I could not find the Vijnana. What happened to that? And Buddha says that it is extinguished, so it will never come back. So this is what is called as Parinibana, when the consciousness is gone out of trace. That is why it is called as Nirodha. So there is Upada, Nirodha. So there is a reason for that arising. If you remove that reason, that cessation happens. Now, what is Nibbana in this case is that the Chitta comes to the Manasan state and remains there. It doesn't go beyond Manasan. So there is only recognition, and after that there is nothing which is happening as contamination to become Vijnana. So it's from 2 words called Vi plus Jnana, called as Vijnana, that is without knowledge. Now the question comes, what it is having without knowledge of? It doesn't have the knowledge of itself, that is just a light. It's not anything other than light. So I sent you another sutta a few minutes ago. It's in Anguttara Nikaya 1. Parihita Chavagga. It's a numbered discourses, starting with 41, ending with 50. And there I will go to the 48th one, which I copied and pasted in the chat. Naham bhikkhave anyam eka dhammapi samanupassami yam evam lahu parivattam yatha idam chittam. Now the English translation for chitta is mind. But chitta is not mind. Because then Manu also becomes mind, Manasam also becomes mind, Vijnana then becomes consciousness in English. But Chitta is not mind. All of that is consciousness only. Okay. So when we say mind, it is only three things. It is number one, Vedana, Sanya, and Sankhara. This is what is mind. And that comes into existence through the five senses, plus its own sense called as sixth sense, which is seat of the mind. So it is Mano. As if you were to say Mana, that is called as mind. So when we say don't we have a mind, what we are trying to say is that don't we have five senses? So if somebody asks, do you have mind? What is the answer? Yes, I do have mind because I can sense the object. The object is perceivable. The object is feelable. That's what it is. So when I look at a body and call it Richard because it's recognizable as an object, it has a name, it has a feature. All these three together creates a feeling that I'm seeing something. And that something which is named is Vijnana through the sense. So Chakuncha, Chakku is eye, Paticca, that means joining with it, Rupa, that is the form. So Richard as a form, there is no Richard out there, but there is just a form. Upajjati, arises, Chakku Vijnanam. So now that Vijnana, what Vijnana? The contaminated Chitta arises because now it has taken the information as Richard through the hearing. So the first time when Richard introduced saying that I am Richard, it took the memory. Just like if you were to take a variable x and you say x equals 10. So what does x consist? 10. If you remove 10 and make it 20, what does x have now? 20. In the same way, if Richard is now, if we are named as Richard, Richard stays there. X equals Richard. So instead of calling it as X, I would call it as Richard because I've been introduced as Richard. Unless somebody comes and says that he's not Richard, he's somebody, some other name, Peter. And I remove Richard and insert Peter. So next time onwards, Vijnana helps in Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara to recognize it as Peter. But it's pretty fast. This process is fast. So, when we say mind, anytime, it's only Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. That's all. There's nothing else other than that. But when we say consciousness, it starts with Chitta, ends with Vijnana in 9 steps. Or rather, Vijnana Khanda is the 9th one, Vijnana is the 8th one. So whenever we use the word Vijnana, that one, when we hear that is Vijnana, what we are saying is contaminated only. Not talking about Chitta. But when we use the word Chitta, when we say specifically Chitta, it means light. It doesn't mean Vijnana there. So we need to be very clear when we're reading sutta, whether it is chitta or whether it is mano or whether it is vijnana. All the three are not mind. And vijnana, just making it consciousness, doesn't make any sense to it. But that the limitation of the language is that we have to associate something, and the something is you put everything as mind and the vijnana as consciousness. That makes sense. And then we have to have another one, that chitta, call it as chitta. Okay, because there is no other English translation or any other translation which can satisfy the condition to say that what is chitta. So the definition is given by Buddha itself in that sutta what I spoke about at 48 to 50. If I go through it, he says pabhasaram idam chittam. Pabhasara means shining. Idam chittam. This chitta is filled with light. Just like photon. A single photon doesn't create that much light. A set of photon creates light. In the same way, you cannot have a single chitta. It's a set of chitta which arises. So this one thing we need to understand, because there are certain words where he says chuti, patisandhi. Chuti means cutting, pati means bonding, sandhi means the space. So the space between two is removed. So there is no connection any longer. And when there is no connection, the solid remains as solid, the liquid remains as liquid, the gaseous remains, or the wind remains as wind, the heat element remains as heat element. So the body starts to become cold because the chuti has happened. So when we call somebody is dead, what it really means, that the rupa is split apart. We can see that there are eyes and ears and nose and everything is there. But that which was there is no longer there. So what was there? It was chitta which was there, and now the chitta has been cut, called a chuti. So it's gone. Now it establishes wherever it should establish. Now what is the meaning of establishing? What is there to establish? Whatever gets established is what is there in the mind. Now we have gone through what is mind. That which feels, that which perceives, that which does sankhara. In the perception has something called as intellect, called as buddhi. So that one goes along with chitta. So if we were to call something as gandhabba, a mental body, or a subtle body, or an astral body, like we spoke yesterday, it has four components to it. One is the chittaja kaya, the kaya, collection of chittas, based upon its kamma, so kammaja kaya, based upon the utu, the condition on which it will now be reborn. And finally, karajakaya, which is the physical structure. And why it is called gandhabba is because it can live by smelling, not requiring any food as such. So that combination, the collection, kaya, is called as vijnana. The whole collection, chittajakaya, utujakaya, karajakaya, and kammajakaya, all the four kayas taken together becomes vijnana. So when we say chakku vijnana, what it really means is that not the physical eye, the mental I, which is there inside that Gandhabba, establishes a connection with the Chitta depending upon the object what is seen from outside. And there is a recognition of that object. And when there is recognition for that object, the registration happens about that object, just like what I have registered this body sitting in front of me as Richard and this body as Vilas. It's registered. And there is no way to deregister. So every time I stand in front of the mirror, I see this as Vilas. That is the contamination. So the objective of Nibbana is to go from the Vijnana Khanda back to Chitta. In every senses. Can be eyes, can be ears, can be nose, can be tongue, can be taste, can be touch, and what we call as mano, which is creates vitakka, vichara, that one, which then creates vedana, sanya, sankhara. So you have 6 sankharas, you have 6 vedana, you have 6 sanya, and 6 vijnana. Okay. I'll say it very slowly so that there is no confusion. So whenever we say Nibbana, what it means is that if by chance all the 6 senses were to just let go of the objects in an instant, then the anatta state happens. There is no atta, there is nothing like holding on to something. And when that happens, the chitta doesn't have any objects. And when it doesn't have any object, it goes back to the manasan state. So, chitta, mano, manasan, hadayan, pandaran, mano, manayatanan, manaindriyan, vijnana khanda. These are the 9 stages of vijnana, of chitta, basically. So from phabasaram idam chittam, it has become klesa, impure. So it sees something, but names it something, identifies something, registers something, has relationship with something, and because of that it suffers with the very thing what is false. Example, when the body came out, there was no name. Yesterday we have covered this, but still good to cover. There was no name. But because my parents has given me the name, I have recognized it to be the name. I have registered it to be my name. I have then identifying everything with that name. And every documentation I have is on that name only. So from chitta, it's gone to vijnana. So in the vijnana, in the chakku vijnana, what I have is the object of vilas. And same thing with sota, ghana, jivha, kaya, mano. And the worst is mano vijnana, which will have the complete objectification of vilas, the personality vilas. So I believe I am a Buddhist. I believe I am a Hindu. I believe I am a Christian. I believe I am a Muslim. I believe this. I believe that. And then the stories. So this is where the papancha sanya sankha happens. So now I believe that belief, because that is what I feel. So mano feels. So feeling, I perceive that this is me as Vilas, and I'm doing many things. Then there is third one, creating sankharas. So if we were to be in Nibbana, we need to stop sankharas. The sankharas are not going to be there. Then slowly the craving goes away, and when the craving goes away, nirodha happens. Meanings what? From the Vijnana Kanda, heaps of Vijnana, it has the Vijnana itself. So we'll stop at Vijnana, the eighth one. From the Vijnana, it comes back to Mana Indriya. So it recognizes that there is an Indriya there, sense faculty, where everything is getting packaged. Then it goes one step further, which is Mana Ayatana, home of the mind. So Chakku Ayatana means home for eye, home for ear, home for nose, like that. So when we enter into the seven jhana, which is Akincha Ayatana, Akincha means nothing, Ayatana is the home. There is nothing in these 6 homes. The light is falling and you see nothing is there. There is no person. There's something coming and going, something lighting up and going, something lighting up and going. And now you are puzzled. Now you see the reality. Whenever I see you, it is the chitta is uncontaminated. That sees the reality. So the mind feeling goes away. And with the feeling getting reduced, the perception also reduces. So the 8th jhana is neva sanya na sanyayatana, meaning there is no perception of an object, but you can't say there is no perception at all. You're still able to perceive, but you're not attached to that object. So it's the 8th jhana. It's the most peaceful state because it's almost nearer to the chitta in purity. Then the 9th jhana is sanya vedaita nirodha. That means there is no perception and there is no feeling. That means there are no sankharas any longer. So this is the way the Nibbana is achieved. In a very technical way I could say this. Because she asked me a question, Preeti asked me a question yesterday on the 9 states of Vijnana. She was searching for it. I said, don't worry, we will cover that up. And there are a lot of things I spoke yesterday and I want to give more clarity on who is experiencing Nibbana. Who is the person? There is no personality. And when you achieve anatta, anicca automatically happens. So what you ultimately end up as an arhat is you will see 2 things which will not go. One is you will find viparinama, unexpected changes. That will not go. You will see dukkha in that viparinama. So it's called viparinama dukkha. Then the second one, anicca. Only these 2 will remain. Nothing else will remain. And not only that, other 3 things also will remain. These are the 2, plus you require the jivit indriya, that will remain. You'll have senses, but they're not doing anything. That will remain. And the third one, the cheto vimukti. You have to do something to get into that all the time. Okay? So, when we get into arhata phala samapatti, what it really transforms itself is that anicca and viparinama dukkha is seen. So the mind, basically, when we say mind, feeling, perception, sankhara are not there. That means dropping the mind means these three things are not there. There is nothing to perceive, there is nothing to feel, there is no sankharas to be done. Intentions to do sankharas are no longer there. So absolutely free from that sankhara. There's a vimukti of sankhara. Then these three things are going to remain. So the body exists, that means aggregates. Then you have the Jivitindriya, then you have senses. But other than that, nothing is there. So if Arhat comes till Manasan state, not beyond. This is when we are in Nibbana all the time. That's what Nibbana is all about. So now, what are the process, what are the steps and all that is only this. You create sila so that the chitta becomes pure. The vijnana becomes pure. And when the sila is established, the samadhi happens. That is the vijnana is able to stabilize everything. Stabilize what? The five senses and the mano. Sixth one. Stability. Stable. It is jumping around with the objects. That's not there. Or it is reduced. We could call. That is called samadhi. Samadhi. Sama is equal, adi is state. So you put in the six senses in a tranquil state. Okay? Panya. When the vijnana starts to move backwards to chitta, everything gets opened up. So you get panya. So somebody says, I am feeling blissful. What it means is that chitta is becoming pure. Now they call it as mind is become pure. No. There is a backward movement from vijnana khanda to vijnana to mana indriya to mana ayatana, then pandaram, then manasam, then mano, then chitta. So anytime when we are meditating and we say, wow, I was sitting, I saw light, I saw this, I saw that. It means that you are seeing it because chitta is brightening up. So like the other day when we were doing that Samanyapala Sutta, DN2, in that Buddha explains the light on the fourth jhana. You see a dazzling light. So when you see a dazzling light, what it means is that the chitta is shining. Apasaram idam chittam. So the moment we see that we all are chitta, then the kama is gone. The kama chanda is gone. Because of that, the vyapada is gone. So when the kama chanda and vyapada are gone, the person reaches anagami. When the kama chanda and the vyapada is reduced, then he becomes sakadagami. When kama chanda and vyapada is there, but yet is able to penetrate into five aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. He is understanding that what is Rupa, what is Vedana, what is Sanya, what is Sankhara, what is Vijnana, and his fingers are opened up. No holding on to the consciousness, Vijnana has opened up. So the other four is not able to hold on like this. You require all the 5 fingers to make a fist. Now you remove one, this guys will not be able to have the strength to stay together. So you feel a real opening of your heart. What was closed just opens up. And because that opens up, you can see that there is no reason to do rituals. Ritualistically, anything that you wanted to do is no longer required. You will start to investigate, and because of that, you start to get more panya, or we start to get more panya. So when we understand the Buddha Dhamma, the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and we are able to penetrate it, it means that the hold on to the aggregates is removed. And the third one happens. Visikicha, skeptical doubt, is gone. That is Sotapanna. So the same chitta, meaning same in the sense that the chitta arising, passing away, arising, passing away, arising, passing away, till it has a Chutipati Sandhi, that is cutting off the chitta, till that happens, because it's not happening due to Jivitindriya. So in the Parinibana, the sutta, which talks about Parinibana Buddha then what he does is that he surrenders the Jivitindriya. And he says that in 3 months' time, I will be going off. The chitta will be completely removed, switched off. So he says to Ananda, I am going to be there for 3 months. In our case, since we are not Samma Sambuddha, and we will never be, we cannot surrender the Jivitindriya. It's called as life faculty in English. There's nothing more to that. Actually, it is Jivi, meaning what we call as Jiva, that is life. The ebbing of life in the 5 senses is Jiva. On that, this light will shine and then makes this movement. Remove the light, this becomes fixed. So, with the Jivitindriya, the 5 senses go together. And the 6th sense makes it everything, packaging it. Its job is to package everything. So, the moment I get into the chitta state is blissful. So from Sotapanna, you are trying to climb up and climb up and climb up, be in a state of Arahat, which is basically Chitta, Mano, Manasan and ends. There is no Hadayam. So now I'll explain to you each one of these what it really means. Chitta is pure light. Mano means it notices the object. Just like you put on the light in the room and it's noticeable. There is no attachment to any object. It's noticeable. That's called Mana. Manasam is identification of what is that kind of the object. Whether it is a Ithi or Purisa. Ithi means female, Purisa means male. It knows. But the 5 senses don't latch onto it at Manasam. The energy or the power or the current of this light is not penetrating into this each sense door to sense and make things out of it. It ends there. If not, comes to Hadayam. So, as the light falls, there is an awareness, noticing. With the noticing, there is identification. With the identification, it starts to penetrate into the sense. If it is happening on the chakku, it becomes chakku vijnana. If it's happening in the sota, it becomes sota vijnana. Like that. And that is hadayam. Taking it as near to oneself, which is the heart. So the mano starts. Okay. Out of sixth one, the sixth one, mind, what we call as mind, starts. So when we have hadayam, what hadayam happens is likable, dislikable, starts. Pandaram, contaminated, where you like to keep what is liked and you start to reject what is not liked. So the senses bring something and the mind says that this is not what I wanted, I need that object. So it tries to procure that object. So from manasam, hadayam to pandaram to mana ayatanam. So then you need a storage space. So you store what is seen in the eyes and the ears and the nose and tongue and all that. So all objects coming in each of the sense door is preserved. Sati takes shape. Meaning you remember. So now if somebody says, Vilas, were you 1 year old? I say, yeah, I was 1 year old. Actually, I was never 1 year old. The body was 1 year old. I never was 1 year old. But I think I am the body, so I am 1 year old. So somebody asks me, are you 10 year old? I'm going to say, yeah, when I was 10 year old. What is happening is the Vijnana Khanda is able to bring the images and make it live. So then I say, I go back and I say Atita, past, Anagata, future, Pachupanna, present. So I take what is in the past, project what is in the future and consider it in the present. This action is done in mana ayatana. Then it becomes mana indriya. So now you have a sense door itself, a literal sense door, a virtual door. If we were to say there are only 5 senses, the 6th one is virtual. It doesn't really exist. And hence there is no depth to the mind. It keeps on establishing because it can take the consciousness along with it. Then when mana indriyam happens, it becomes contaminated, called as vijnana. So what we are talking is a conditioned consciousness called as vijnana. And now what Buddha is saying in that sutta is vijnana is gone. There is no place this guy can find it and make it establish. That means at the Chutipati Sandhi moment, at the time of cutting, the Chittajakaya is not there. Because Chittajakaya is not there, why it is not there? Because he has destroyed all the karma. The karma is the seed which is required for rebirth. So there is no karma. If there is no karma, then there is no uttu. If there is no uttu, there is no need for karaja, which is food. And if these 3 things are not there, chitta cannot establish. If chitta cannot establish, it's gone. Now, how do I practice this? For that, you require to practice dukkha. Dukkha is not suffering, the pain what we are to take. To establish first jhana, the amount of pain you need to take. And that's the reason when we looked at the Sakkapanna, he says 3 things what a bhikkhus will do. They will look at somanasa, domanasa, upekha. And they will establish in domanasa something which doesn't bring in akusala dhamma. They bring in kusala dhamma. What it really means is that Now I want to go for first jhana. It's not getting established. So I need to take tremendous pain. I, in the sense, the chitta, has to take that pain of establishing the jhana. It's not happening. Why it is not happening? Because of the akusala. Why akusala? Because it is in vijnana state. So I as consciousness, so much bogged down, I am able to see the dukkha completely. And I can see suffering everywhere. Everyone is suffering for establishing, and it cannot establish. Every experience comes and goes away. Every experience comes and goes away. It doesn't stay. And that's the reason it's anicca sanya. You cannot do anything without anicca. It's anicca only. So now when I see dukkha in everything, I am not able to establish first jhana. Then the fear starts. What happens at the Chuti Patisandhi moment? Will I be born as an animal? Will I be reborn as a human? Will I be reborn as a deva? What is my state? And the fear, when the fear starts, the impurity is reduced. And that's the reason Buddha started with dukkha satya. The pain, what one has to take. Now the question is why there is pain? Because jati pi dukkha. The chitta has taken birth with the mind, which is feeling, perception, sankhara. It has choices. Some book says choices, okay. Some book says intention, okay. Some book says volitional actions, okay. Whatever you want to call it, it is out of intention only. So when we penetrate into the dukkha satya, there is dukkha in every damn thing we are doing. Every damn thing. There is not even one thing which is not with dukkha. Getting up is from getting up to sleeping is dukkha. Why? You don't get sleep, you can see the pain. The body starts aching, you can see the pain. If you are not able to eat, you can see the pain. If you are not able to sit, you can see the pain. If you are not able to walk, you can see the pain. This is all kaika dukkha, then manasika dukkha. If you are not able to see the object what you love, pain. If you are not able to hear the sound what you want to hear, pain. If you are not able to smell what you want to smell, pain. Everything is pain. It's painful. And convincing another human being, it's a pain. You have to take pain. Convincing your family members, pain. Working along with the family members is pain. Not having family members is a pain. Having too many family members also is pain. Staying in one particular country is a pain. Not able to find food is a pain. So like that, if you really see in a daily basis, we are going behind pain only. There is not even one place you will find genuine happiness. You get pleasure because somebody is arm twisting and he relieves that arm twisting and says, wow, I got it. I was searching for food. I got the food. Pain is gone. I was searching for a road. I got the road. Pain is gone. I was driving. I was able to reach that place. Pain is gone. So relief from pain is pleasure. And that's the reason we use an English word. No pain, no gain. Because there is something to lose. And losing is painful. So you need to put effort after effort after effort to make things work. And that's the dukkha satya. Now if I see why this dukkha, pain, simple, craving, chitta is craving. It's giving energy to the mind. Perception, feeling, sankhara is where craving is. nowhere else. So if we have gone through Mahasatipatthana Sutta, in that, if you go to the Four Noble Truths, the second Noble Truth, he explains what is craving. All the five senses craving. Upajjamana, upajjati, nimisamana, nimisati, piyarupam, satarupam, ettajjamana, upajjamana, upajjati, nirujjamana, nimisamana, nimisati. That means piyarupam, likeable, fondness. Piya is to be fond of something. I am fond of food. Wow, this. That chitta has become vijnana at that stage. Satarupam, agreeable. Ethesa tanha, this craving. Upajjamana, upajjati, it arises with that condition. Nivisamana, nivisati, it stays there. In where? Chakku rupe, chakku with rupa. Sota with shabda, like that. It arises and stays. It arises and stays. That means as long as the chitta remains in vijnana state, the six sense doors opens up a barrage of information through all the senses, and it holds on to each one of them, upadana, because of craving. Tanha. Before tanha is vedana. Before vedana, phassa. Before phassa, namarupa. Before namarupa, vijnana. Before vijnana, sankhara. Before sankhara, vijja. So, this cycle you can break in any form, anywhere. Then immediately anatta happens. And when anatta happens, you're relieved. The chitta comes back. And because chitta comes back, it extinguishes. There's no fuel. So, I wanted to give this clarity from yesterday about the Veda, who is wanting Nibbana. The sutta is very clear, which says that Vijnanasya nirodhena ethesam uparujjati, or the other two sutta, Putta Mamsa Sutta, where it talks about the last one, where the person is being flogged with the pain because of nama rupa. He gives that example because vijnana keeps on repeating itself without knowing that it is pain. If it knows the dukkha of existence, it wouldn't have done that. And that's the reason the Putta Mamsa Sutta, he talks that. And in other sutta which we went through it, he talks about the five aggregates. Again, it's a vijnana. So if we take the five aggregates, rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana, it's not the mind which gets liberated. It's the vijnana which gets liberated. It's let's go of holding on to the mind, which is feeling, perception, and sankhara. So, if we go through the Girimananda Sutta, where it says that etan santan, etan panitan, yadidam sabba sankhara samato, sabbupadi patinisaggo, tanhakhayo, virago, nirodho, nibbana. You have to go through that. Etan santan, the five aggregates, if it is equal, not grasped. Etan panitan, that is profound. When? Yadidam is when. Sabba sankhara samato, all the six sankharas are equanimous or tranquil. Sabbupadi, all that what is being produced as relationships Patinisaggo, cut those relationships. Tanhakhayo, craving is reduced, or reduction, or elimination, whatever words we can use. Virago, there is no holding on to the raga. Nirodho doesn't arise again, and Nibbana, which takes the 7 things what we have spoken earlier. Nibiddhaya, viragaya, nirodhaya, upasamaya, abhinyaya, sambodhaya, nibbana. So the chitta is able to withdraw from the vijnana and come back to chitta, and it extinguishes. It doesn't stay, doesn't establish again. And those 2 sutta what I had sent in the chat exactly talks about that. That there is no further coming or going, and that is what Mara does. He fills the 6 sense doors with information, which chitta keeps on having vijnana of. So that in the end of the Chuti Patisandhi moment, he can catch hold of vijnana. Because it's still not pure. So he can hold over the vijnana. And that gets established again as another being. But the pain it is not seen. It has only seen this side, which is completely without knowledge. That it is only a pure light. Pabhasaram idam chittam. So if I go through this sutta which I was reading, he says, because I do not see a single thing that's as quick to change as the mind, as the chitta. Naham vikkhave anyam eka dhammampi samanupassami yam evam lahu parivattanam yatha idam chittam yavanchidam vikkhave upamanana sukara yava lahu parivattam chittan iti. So much so that it's not easy to give. Upama means simile. So give a simile for how quickly the chitta can change from chitta to vijnana. So then he says that Pabhasaram bhikkhave chittam tanchoko aguntikehi upakilesehi upakilithananti. This chitta is radiant, but it's corrupted by the tendencies. And why it is like that is because of the tendencies of the past, which is also called as gati. Gati means habits. So whatever the gati we have made, those will keep on coming onto the chitta. So what we need to do is to remove the gati, the habits. So pabhasaram midam bhikkhave chittam tanchako agunte kehi upakilesehi vipamuttanti. Vipamutta means to remove. So if we were to remove the habitual patterns, what has been created, then the chitta turns bright. So we'll take this example, coffee. I love coffee. I will say, I love coffee. Love is Hadayam. First thing, the chitta has gone to Hadayam now. Love. Coffee, Vijnana. So when I say I love coffee, I is in Vijnana, coffee is in Vijnana, Hadayam is love. Where craving exists. How to go back to chitta? Observe what is coffee. It doesn't allow you to observe. Why? Because it's already vijnana. So now The chitta itself has to put an effort and end to see the pain, the dukkha, and bring it back. Because the feeling and perception, feeling says that it is coffee, perception says that it is coffee. I love coffee. Why don't we have a cup of coffee? So day before yesterday, I had gone to the office. New office where I'm working. So all these days, work from home, no issues. So I had to go to office. Even though I'm a consultant, I'm supposed to go to office. So I went to office. And then when I meet all the colleagues, so they said, why don't we have coffee? So I had coffee, enjoyed it. New coffee. Then again I had another coffee. And again I had another coffee. So 3 cups of coffee. When at home I don't drink. You see the fun. I couldn't say no. So the objects which came on the screen as colleagues immediately brought in the idea of having coffee. Apasaramidam chittam, but upakilesa. The kilesas, the impurities which are hidden, comes out and covers the chitta. So what happened? Coffee, vijnana. I, vijnana. So what happened to anatta? Became atta. Now who is drinking coffee? I am drinking coffee. I am supposed to be a who? I am not an arhat. So I can drink coffee now. I can taste coffee. But what if I was an arhat? Will I drink coffee? Yes. But you will not have a taste to coffee. You will taste it as solid and liquid. You will not taste it as coffee. That's the difference. So for me, when I had the first cup of coffee, the first sip touching the lips and the tongue, the first sip, what was the feeling? Wow. So what happened? It's already vijnana. So now which vijnana? Tongue, which is jibha, with rasa. Paticca upajjati jivva vijnanam. Tinna sangati passo. Passapachaya vedana. Yam vedeti tam sanjanati. Yam sanjanati tam vitaketi. Yam vitaketi tam papancheti. Yam papancheti tato nidanam purisa. Papancha sanya sankha samudacharanti atita anagata pachuppannesu jivya rasa vinyanesu dhammesu. Now let's explain what this big Pali word what I spoke. Now this tongue and the taste, the rasa, the taste, the flavor, what is coming, created phassa, contact. With contact, feeling. With feeling, perception. With perception, vitakka, thinking. With thinking, papancha. That is proliferation. With proliferation, I create estimation. I put a value now. Wow, what a great coffee. This is good. So I was reading there. Kurg coffee. And Kurg is known for coffee. And coffee is a product from Karnataka. So it's a nice coffee. Nice aroma. Wow, so nice. And people were saying they've invested very well and it's so nice coffee, rich coffee, so all that. It's called Papancha Sanya Sankha because now the story is formed. Then what happens? When you create story, it has to have a past. So in the past, that coffee was not that good. Now this coffee is very good. Samudacharanti atita anagata pachuppannesu the jivha rasa vinyanesu dhammesu. So this joining of tongue with the taste created a story called as coffee, which is so good to drink. But actually what I had, it's only Pathavi, Apo, Tejo, Fire. But what did I actually feel as Vijnana? Coffee. That's the pain. Now if I were to be born in Deva realm, will I be born in Deva realm? No. Why? I'm enjoying coffee. Not possible. I couldn't let go of coffee. So what should I do? Should I deprive myself of coffee? No, drink coffee, but don't consider it as coffee. Now this is a problem. What do you mean, not consider? Will the taste not come? Yeah, it will come. But only 6 tastes will come, not the coffee taste. So you will now see it is bitter. If I take coffee and I drink that decoction, it's bitter. Is there a coffee there? No, it is bitter. Then I eat sugar separately. It's sweet, but not bitter. Then if I drink milk separately, what do I get? No taste. It's bland. Without sugar, without coffee, only the milk will be bland. So what is the 3 things now? One is bland, one is sweet, and one is bitter. This exercise if I do, then I am coming from Vijnana Khanda to Manasam. Otherwise it becomes Hadayam. So this is the practice I have to keep on doing without forgetting it. In anything I do, and now I can see the dukkha. Even one time I miss it, Mara has the Vijnana. Because if that is the Chuti Patisandhi moment, it's gone. So that is the reason Buddha used to say, Appamadena sampadeta. That is, don't be negligent. Become an arhat. Don't be negligent. Don't waste time. There's no time. Do it. Get rid of tendencies. Remove the kleshas. So he says, remove the dasa kusala. Put kusala. At least you will go up. If not Nibbana. So you will become anagami. At least you will not come to the womb existence again. Better. Who will not come again? Chitta. Simple. Not the mind. Mind has only feeling, perception, sankhara. That's all. It doesn't have anything other than that. So when I see something, the chitta makes it seeing possible. So it creates the feeling of seeing. And because there is seeing, feeling, there's a perception of seeing. Because there is perception of seeing, there's a sankhara of doing something about that seeing. What if I give up that craving for sankharas? Then samatha happens. Now I can get into vipassana. And I can investigate how from Vijnana Khanda you can go back to the chitta. the purest form, the purest light. That's all. So that's the reason he says vijnana arises and passes away. Why? Because it doesn't have knowledge. It just takes the object, drops it, takes the object, drops it, takes the object, drops it, takes the object, drops it. That's all what we are doing. You see your past life from the beginning of your birth till today. It's all in the memories. It's such a painful process. All that we do in a daily basis ends up only in memory. Yesterday I went to the office is only a memory. Such a pain. That effort of driving or going in the cab for 20 odd kilometers. And the interaction I had in the office. And the coffee and food and all that what I had. Sankharas. When I came back, all gone. Not even one sankhara is there to call it as mine. What did I collect? Only memories. So the coffee is a memory. The food I had is a memory. The interaction I had with people is a memory. Everything is a memory. So what am I really doing? Such a pain. Collect memories. And on top of that, we keep on clicking photos, keeping memories. Memory after memory after memory. That's all we keep on doing. And that is rebirth, basically. Any questions? Let me end my talk here. I think otherwise I'll be making things pretty boring then. All of you are seeing so seriously, whether you are seeing seriously with me or you are thinking seriously about vijnana, I am not able to understand. It's like something you have found and you are feeling, what is that? Or you are feeling bored.
Well, I'm quite zapped to, hear all this.
Okay.
It is one concept which is, out of the box for a common man,
Yes.
a layman rather. So when I hear all these things, I'm astounded. I mean, is this what life means to us? Is this what we need to know?
Yes, absolutely.
And a common man is far, far, far away from these things. If they do not get to this thing, probably they will never be able to relieve themselves.
Yes.
And we can see the pain everywhere, the one that we have been discussing for so long.
Yes.
Discontentment around us.
Correct.
And just a few people who are able to feel it, probably they are even thinking on it. I see that these people around us, they still have a very long way to go. Very long way.
Yes, painful. You can't change them. There's again a pain.
I mean, it's like I'm talking about the people, they are in a family, friends and relatives and whatnot. Everyone around us.
Correct. Absolutely.
So just contentment at its high and people are still not, willing to give a thought to this.
It's not possible. Naveen, no matter what you do, each person's chitta is in vijnana state. It can see only what it can see. It's like a blind man who is blind from birth. No matter how much light you put on his eyes, he will not see it or she will not see it. And this is the thing which Buddha himself goes through. So after he gets enlightened, he is sitting and the Brahma comes and talks to Buddha, saying that why don't you do discourses? Why don't you teach people? Why don't you teach the Devas? Why don't you teach me? And he says, I doubt this Dhamma can be understood. And then Brahma says that there are sentient beings who have one eye is open, There are beings who have both eyes open. There are some beings who have mud in their eyes. There are some beings who can lightly see something, who can do something to them. And then he starts with Dhamma Chakka Pavatana Sutta. Because this is the same vijnana which has to be dropped. And what Richard experienced on that day while seeing TV is that his vijnana froze. There was no vijnana, so there was just became manasan. So all the six senses gave up in an instant. So there was no I any longer. Just like the coffee is not there. I'm drinking coffee. I love coffee. That's not there. That's good. Now you're free at that moment. That is called Cheto Vimukti. That person, Godika, committed suicide because he lost 6 times. But he had already achieved it. So when he cut his wrist, and the Mara tried to take his vijnana, he didn't go in search of Chitta. He couldn't. He went in search of vijnana. He couldn't find. In our cases, it's easy to find vijnana. It's already in mud. It's very easy. At least we can now bring it back to Chitta state, which is Arhat, basically. And that's the reason Arhat never gets involved with anything, because it doesn't go beyond Manasan state at all. It just recognizes the object, but has no loving and liking or disliking, which is Hadayam. And then the contamination is fast. From Hadayam it is tremendous fast. Just like a roller coaster. You go up, go up, go up, go up, and the drop. So, seeing all your faces in a very dull position, I feel, what did I do to you? Yes, Preeti, you want to share something or say something?
Consciousness is itself a serious topic, no?
Yes. And
go into depth and remember so many things and keep in mind and contemplate on it.
yes, and that's the pain. So that's the reason Buddha says you start with pain. You start with dukkha. Remembering that you are dying is the first thing to start, and that's where he started. What's the cause of death? Maranam. Why? Then he found it's jati. So if you really look at the cycle, right, it starts with that only. Jara Marana. Why? So he finds jati. Why jati? Because of bhava. Why bhava? Because of upadana. Why upadana? Because of tanha. Why tanha? Because of vedana. Why vedana? Because of phassa. Why phassa? Because of salaitana. Why salaitana? Because of vinyana. Why vinyana? Because of nama rupa. Like that. Or nama rupa and then vinyana, then avidya. Avidya of what? What is avidya? That chitta has become vinyana is avidya, that's all. And yes, go ahead, Naveen.
Could you please elaborate it a bit? Chitta becomes Vijnana. Please elaborate a bit.
I just elaborated, but I can again elaborate. See, Chitta is the light what I have put here, right? So now let's say there's just a light. Just a light. This object can be seen, but there is no attachment. There is nothing about that object. It's just light, which is actually in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, he uses pajanana, to know. So this object, the light what is falling, is pajanana, knowing. Or another word to use is awareness. Just like you are having a light, it's aware of objects. Mano is identification of the object. It just identifies. Oh, not as an object of this kind or that kind. Just identification that there is something in this room is the next stage called Mano. Manasam is to know the object. Like an example, he calls Iti Bhava Purisa Bhava. Iti is female, Purisa is male. So if somebody is coming, you see it as a female object. Somebody is coming, it's a male object, not beautiful object, not ugly object, not tall object, not short object, anything like that. But when it comes to Hadayam, problem starts. Heart. Hadaya means heart. So you feel a sense. Actually, all of us feel a sensation in the heart. Have you ever seen it? In any object that comes to you, there's a slight flutter. Especially when you are anxious about that object, there's a flutter. You can feel the flutter. That is Hadayam. In the fluttering comes I and mine about that object. You want to keep that object near to you, and that's the reason it's called heart. So when we say, I love, what it really means, that is, I want to keep that object closer. So when I say I love my wife, what I'm really meaning is that object, which I have recognized as wife. It was only an object initially, but then it took the form of wife at Hadayam. I want to keep it near because I want to enjoy the object. Pandharam means knowing that it belongs to you. Then another two things happen simultaneously. It is Mana Ayatana. You create a home for that. You require a home. Otherwise you cannot store it. So I literally create a home. So in my heart, a wife is created as a home. Now I can enjoy. Sit and enjoy. Because it's there with me. So whenever my physical wife is not there, this mental wife will be there. Whether I love it or I hate it, because both are same. There's a love-hate relationship. When I say I don't like my wife, it means that I really love my wife. Meaning, if she was doing what I wanted her to do, certainly I will love her. So, Mana Ayatanam. Then Mana Indriyam. Indriya is sense. It can sense. Now it is a virtual thing. Just like I am having a virtual, we are all meeting virtually. We are not physically sitting next to each other, but we are virtually meeting. We are virtually talking. In the same way, Mana Indriya is a virtual one. The physical ones are only 5. This mental is a fabrication. Okay. Then Vijnana. What is Vijnana is not having any knowledge about that object at all. It is totally destroyed. It was just light. How it has become? Wife. Forget wife and husband. Let's take a road. There is a street name. Is it true? But yeah, it's true, very true. Why? I believe so. Tomorrow can the road be changed? Yes. And then I again believe so. This is called Vijnana. So what Buddha says is that Vijnanasya nirodhena. That is, when this thing goes away, then you are in Nibbana. Yes.
So, as per my understanding, I think the moment we stop associating things as per our likes and dislikes, it's the moment wherein Vijnana ceases to exist.
Yes, Vijnana ceases to exist and comes back to Manasam.
Okay.
It goes back. It goes back only to identification state. Doesn't create a relationship. And hence you are relieved. Isn't it or not? See, Naveen, you married someone and they have given a title as wife. Have you seen your wife by any chance? Till today? You might say yes, just think it over. It's a label. Do you find a wife? No. You will not find a wife. You will find a mindset. You will never find a wife. Her mindset keeps on changing based upon situation. Simple. So where is the wife? And they say happy married life. Which happy married life? When the situation changes, husband also changes, wife also changes. If the situation remains same, they both are loving. So have you ever seen a husband in your life? You have seen Naveen by any chance? No. You stand in front of mirror Naveen, you will never find Naveen at all. It's a name. It's just a damn name. If Vijnana is strong, it will make that name to be true. Even though you are a flesh, that's all. You're eating, you're becoming fat, or you become lean. That's simple. So where is Naveen? Can Naveen become lean and fat? You just think. Can Naveen grow? If it was true, you take your marks card from the first grade. It says Naveen Shukla. Who was that Naveen Shukla then? Small child, 5-year-old, to today, whatever your year-old is. Are you very sure that you are Naveen? Isn't only the body changing? And that's all what Vijnana to Chitta is. If you can see this gap, you will come to Manasam, where there is no relationship. So you immediately feel it. You immediately feel the bliss. You immediately feel the anatta. Just think, is there any Naveen really existing except for the name? Just keep on contemplating. Immediately you feel reversal of something. And that is what is anatta all about. It just goes back to Manasam state, where only it just identifies, nothing else is there, and goes back to Chitta. When it is in Chitta, you can't even recognize this body as yours. So you will not feel your hand, you will not feel your body, you will not feel anything at all. You feel, wow, this is great. You're just pure consciousness, nothing else. So all the drama is gone. So you relieved. But we are back in Vijnana. All drama begins. Because now I see Preeti, I feel she shouldn't have aged so fast. That's not my problem whether she ages fast or slow. But I feel she shouldn't be aging like that. I think she could have put some color dye or whatever. And I look at Richard and I feel that, oh, he might be very old or new or young. I say, he says his age and I say to him, Richard, you look so young. One question could be asked. Which Richard is young? What he's talking is on the body. Where is this Richard becoming young? And if he's lean, I'm saying you are lean. Can he be lean by any chance? No. His body is lean. Agree. But is he lean? No. But what I'm saying, Richard, you become lean. Vijnana, what he should do? Cut that all. And see what really it is. The body is lean. The body can become fat. You're neither lean nor fat. That's what he says, no? Vijnanam, anidasanam, anantam, sapatopavam. Then that line. Diga, rasa, anu, thula. Thula means fat. So Richard, you're very fat. What he should do? Bring it back to chitta. Am I fat? No. Body is fat. Agreed. If I don't eat, it becomes lean. If I exercise, it becomes lean. Am I exercising? No. I am exercising the body. I have body pain. I don't have pain myself. My mind has pain, mental pain, agreeable. But am I having pain? Am I pained? No. I'll give you another example. There is marathon, 25, 15K marathon or 10K marathon, and people are running. And one guy, while running, he falls down. And he twists his ankle. Now he gets up, wriggling in pain. Is he in pain? He will say, my ankle is pain. I twisted my ankle. Did he really twist his ankle? No. The body fell down. First thing. And what is he doing? He is not cursing himself. He is cursing his ankle. Saying that I fell down, ankle got twisted, and hence I could not run. This is the explanation what he gives. Now he wins the marathon. Another same person, he didn't fall. He ran very fast. Now they want to congratulate him for the achievement. So what does he say? I ran very well. Sure? Is he sure? No? But he takes credit fully. But when he falls down, he blames that organ. That is how Vijnana works. Now what does he say when somebody is garlanding him with that medal? You have earned a gold medal, let's say. Where is the gold medal being put? On him? No, on the body. What is he doing? Standing there, bending his neck. Did they put gold medal on him or on his body? They put on his body. While he was coming down and he wanted to go open his car, some 5 criminals were waiting for this gold, and while he was wanting to open his car. He's very happy that he won the marathon. And these criminals wait for an opportunity, hit on his head with a stick so badly that he profusely, the body is bleeding. And they take his gold medal, his money and all that, and they flee. After a few moments, he dies. Who dies? The Vijnana goes away. Whom did they medal? Body. Body is there only. That body on which they put the medal is there only. That's all what it is. So where did the Vijnana go? Next life. Will he be again a person who will run for marathon? Depends on the thoughts. So, Chitta Jakaya, Karajakaya, Kammajakaya, Utujakaya. These are the four things in Gandhabba. As long as these four things are there, new life keeps on persisting. Simple examples we can see how this works. If he had fallen on the road or on wherever, on the ground, he would have said, I would have won just for this ankle, just for this knee, just for this back, just for my hand. I could win. But when he wins, he congratulates himself. But what happened to the body? He doesn't even care. That's why it is called Vijnana, no knowledge.
So Vijnana means devoid of knowledge. Vijnana.
Yes. Yeah, Vijnana. It is devoid of knowledge. It has no knowledge.
Okay, so this is not that Vigyan kind of thing.
No. Vigyan is, in Sanskrit it becomes Vigyan. But what Buddha uses, Vijnana, is a very special word he has created to just show that Chitta becomes this in the end. And that's the reason he doesn't say Pabhasaram idam Vijnanam. He uses Pabhasaram idam Chittam. And he says Chitta, see Cheto Vimukti, he never says Vijnana Vimukti. Have you heard anywhere Buddha using Vijnana Vimukti? He says Cheto Vimukti. Vimukti is for the Chitta, nothing else. It doesn't re-establish. Period.
It's like a magician.
Why he uses magician? Because it does wrong things. It does something which is not true. And that's the reason when he used that in Putta Mamsa Sutta, he says somebody is whipping him and that person doesn't die. He doesn't understand. Does he talk about Chitta there? No. He talks about Vijnana. And even the five aggregates, he doesn't say Chitta, he says Vijnana. And Vijnana is consciousness, that's correct. Even Chitta is consciousness, even Mano is consciousness, Manasan is consciousness. All the nine are consciousness only. In different grades of what we can say impurities. So we need to be that pure light which is there in all your rooms. Pure light, that is you.
Chitta is the purest form of consciousness.
Chitta is the purest form of consciousness or pure conscious.
Pure consciousness.
Just has awareness,
Uncorrupted.
Uncorrupted. It has only awareness. It doesn't even have identification. It just has awareness. I am aware. Okay, so very serious discussion. Shall we end today and again meet tomorrow with Vijnana again?
Yes.
Till you get it, we'll be in Vijnana.
Yes, yes, I like.
So now, Nirodha is for whom?
Consciousness.
Vijnana, not consciousness.
Vijnana.
Then, not chit.
Not chitta.
Yes.
So we need to get rid of Vijnana, right?
That's what he says. Vijnanasa nirodhena yetesam uparujjati. It's very nicely put. He says, Vijnanam anidasanam anantam sabbhatopamam. That means Vijnana is undirected. However, it becomes directed because of what? Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. So that takes itself as I am Patavi, I am Apo, I am Tejo, I am Vayo. Yattha Digan. Yeah,
Undirected.
pardon please?
We have to make it undirected.
Yes. Anidasanam, we have made it as Nidasana, directed. Actually, Vijnana is undirected, but we have made it as directed. So he says, it becomes undirected when Yatta patavi cha apo cha tejo cha vayo na gadati yatta dhigam cha rachan cha anunathulam subha asubham yatta naman cha rupan cha asesam uparajjati vinyanasa nirodhena yattesam uparajjati. I just told that so fast. So if it is undirected, when it is not attached, holding on to Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, when it is not comparing and saying that this is big, this is tall, this is short, this is atomic, this is fat, this is this Nama and that Rupa, and that is removed completely, asesam, without trace, without residue. Vinyanasa nirodhena, you see that word. So it answers. Should Vijnana be removed? Yes. Vinyanasa nirodhena. Ithesam uparajjati. Completely it will get eliminated. Then you might say, he's dead. No, he is in chitta. So if you put in English, Vinyanasa nirodhena, it means when consciousness is removed, then what happens? We call it as a dead person. So that 5 lines has got so distorted. So whenever I read, I laugh at the English translation what they have given, not understanding what's the true meaning behind it. But nothing can be done. Okay. You be clear, you experience it. That's what I always say when I read this sutta. I feel, wow, I could grasp it. The true meaning of what is indicated. So I don't generally read any meaning or anything. Just reference I will just go through once, but otherwise it's Pali. But again, it's not required. You have to take one and go deeper and you will come to know everything. So the question is Pali then very important? No, that is again Vijnana only. If we say Pali is important. No. You have to go only one small sutta. Keep on investigating. It breaks. Then you will understand Pali. Okay, so who requires Nibbana, Vijnana? With what? It removes all the tendencies. And hence, in Nibbana. What is Parinibana? When the Vijnana does not get established. Then the question comes, and what happens to Chitta? What happens to Chitta? It remains pure and bright. Then where is I? No. In the light there is no I. Simple. In the Vijnana there is I, but not in the Chitta. So without conditions, Vijnana cannot get established. So he solved the problem of two kinds of people. One sasatta vada, then the annihilation, uchedavada. Sasattavada believed that God exists and God is creating it. Uchedavada used to believe that after death there is nothing which comes out. So Buddha found the middle path, Majjhima, wherein he found how this consciousness relinks itself through Vijnana. And he found it through dukkha satya, the pain of Chitta becoming Vijnana. If you see, you have to take tremendous effort to bring it back from Vijnana to Chitta. And that is the reason we need to have Sila. Not for any other reason, we need to have Sila. So basically when I say I am having Sila, why am I doing Sila? It's not because that I want to get in a pure birth. It is because that I need to get it back to Chitta. And the purest form of light can only happen if I have Sila. And that's the reason I need to remove the Dasa Akusala. So that's the reason we have to start with Dasa Akusala. That's the starting point. So, Naveen, to answer to your question, what should be my starting point? Removal of all the kleshas through Dasa Akusala. So, if you look at Samannapala Sutta, D and 2, he starts with Sila. Then he says what is Samadhi. Then he says what is Panya. All the three. So, removal of 10 immoral deeds is the first step. Then Indriya Samvara. Why Indriya Samvara? Because you now come to the mind, which is perception, feeling and sankhara. That is the one which is creating Vijnana. Come back. Santosa. Contentment. Yeah, there are many things. Contentment. The senses should not go behind the sense objects. Content. Yes, I got it. Thank you. This is the second one. Then I can get into jhana. Not prior to that. And that is samadhi. From then he talks about samadhi. Whatever you will get. Then panya. 6 panyas he talks about. Who is having that panya of past lives? Not Vijnana. It's become Chitta. So it remembers everything. And he gives similes. Just like a gold. Somebody has put the impure gold is burning and burning and burning and the light comes out of it. So he gives us a simile because he wants to show that what is Chitta. It's the purest light. So it's in line, whatever I am saying is in line with the sutta. There's not even one word I am saying anything outside the sutta. And that is how you can experience Dhamma. No other way. So if you read DN2, Samannapala Sutta, he explains so beautifully. And every time I read it, I feel, wow, what a teacher. I can never find another teacher like him.
Six pandas are of six senses.
No. He doesn't talk about senses at all. He talks about...
Of six prajnas.
No. Not about that. He talks about what six things you are going to have. You will remember your past lives, then you will see the...
That six knowledges.
Six knowledges. That is the Panya.
Okay,
there is a sutta called Tevijja Sutta. You read that, you will have a very nice enjoyment between a Brahmin person and Buddha. Tevijja Sutta, it is in Digha Nikaya. I don't know which is the number, but I can send it to you later. But it is in Digha Nikaya again, wherein that Brahmin says that I believe in Varna means color. So he says that I am a fair color and all that, and then he discusses everything and all that, and then Buddha asks the question, what is a Vijja as per you? He says, I know the Vedas, 3 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda. So these 3 Vedas I am aware. So he says that you might be aware, but do you know where are you going? He says, I don't know. So do you want to know? He says, yes. And then he says, 3 are Vijja. What are these 3? You need to know all your past lives. First one. Second, you need to know where the beings are going. So Chuti Papata Jnana. Again, Chuti of Chitta. Okay? That's Papata. Papata means cutting off and falling down. Papata. Jnana is wisdom. Third one, Asava Khaya Jnana. All the asavas are extinguished. This, in the dispensation of Buddha, is Vijja. Vijja means 3 Vijja. 3 Vijjas, wisdom. And he says that is Veda. In the dispensation of Buddha. And that Brahmin then says that from today you can consider me as a lay person following Buddha teaching. So you would have read lot of Rik. He says Rik. In Sanskrit it is Rig. It is Rik in Pali. Yaju. And Yaju in Pali is Sanskrit. Sama. And Sama is Sama in Pali and Sanskrit. And he says that is not Vijja at all. Thus he gives Tevijja Sutta. So you just read that. It's so nice. You love it. Every word he speaks there, you feel it's been told to you. But we need to invest time on Sutta. That's how the only sad part of that whole thing is that I need to spend good amount of time on Sutta. That's slightly pain. And again it's pain. I can see the dukkha. You want to escape? Put effort. You want to escape means what? Vijnana has to come back to Chitta and then escape. Naveen, you're thinking very deep.
Well, I'm quite astonished actually. I've been a part of
3 meetings he has gone to consciousness.
What is that?
Within 2 or 3 meetings he has directly went to consciousness.
It's good.
It is very difficult for him now.
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm making it much interesting by giving examples.
I'm trying to comprehend it actually, slowly and gradually.
He has made a direct jump.
Yeah, he's made a direct jump. That's okay. See, somewhere you have to jump. You are going to jump at 20 feet water or 3 feet water. Water is water.
The leap has to be taken.
Leap has to be
Someday.
taken. He can't be sitting on the edge and saying that whenever the water goes down, I will jump.
Well, Vilas, frankly speaking, for the last 3 years, I was in search of this kind of knowledge. In the last 10 days, I got it.
Good.
So I'm just wondering what was I doing for the last 3 years then, 3 or 4 years maybe. I didn't get even a bit of it, what I got in 10 days.
May that happen. May you attain Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah, so when we get correct Dhamma, even for me, I've told you also, Naveen, that why I started this journey of searching on my own. I don't want to waste time. Because there's no time to waste. Every moment, the death is near. Simple as that. So I can't take risk. So I have to act. So the more time I spend on Dhamma, the better it is.
Yeah, certainly.
If I lose, at least Anagami should be there. I need to know I am Anagami. Forget being Arhat. Okay, that is another spectrum. Fine. I need to be sure that is the Chitta should be knowing that this is Anagami. Not relying on Vijnana. That's the motive, or that's the goal presently for me. So when I see anything, I try to see what intention is going inside. Raga, Dvesa, both, or Kama, Chanda, Vyapada. Because that should get away from the Vijnana. That is, Kama, Chanda and Vyapada should go away from Vijnana. Then only it works. Otherwise it wouldn't. For all of us, Dukkha Satya is the starting point, for which Sila is what is required. Then Samadhi. Then Panya. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Which you have been listening through Goenka's discourses. He keeps on saying 3 tripod. First one is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sometimes Panya, Sila, Samadhi. Then sometimes Samadhi, Sila, Panya. Whatever way. Tripod. Correct. How? If we don't know these two, that is Chitta becoming Vijnana, no matter how much we try, it's not going to work. Okay. Think, what time is it? 10:30.
Magician.
Vijnana.
Mesmerized.
Mesmerized with, and I'm so fresh. I'm fresh. I'm not feeling a bit of sleep. I don't know about all of you. I mean, for Richard it is still early afternoon. For us it is 10:30 in the night.
I think that is the quality of Dhamma.
Yeah, and that is a quality.
We can go endlessly.
I think the way I'm talking, I can talk the whole night. It seems to be like that. Last time I'd seen it was almost touching 10. I thought, let me 10:30. My wife will be shocked. What is he trying to do? Okay, anyway, so before she comes and says that tomorrow have some courtesy for yourself. So let me end our session.
Sure.
Thank you and thanks for the permission to ending. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
May all of us attain Nibbana in terms of moving from Vijnana to Chitta. Thank you.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.